What's good, YouTube? And welcome to the house. I feel like every single time a new jump promo comes out, it's, John, why aren't you talking about the new jump promo? John, should I sell it right now or keep it? And the answer is, there's a lot of people who buy the jump subscriptions just to profit. And I feel like this is one of those cards you're going to want to keep to play, but if you've ordered multiple, here's what I would personally do. I would personally keep it till right before the 200th YCS, because it's highly unlikely, even with a Forbidden Unlimited update before them because of Worlds, it's highly unlikely this gets hit before Europe gets its copy. And even if it's announced reprint before that, it's unlikely to get in people's hands with the reprint before that YCS. So rest in peace, Europe. Most likely, that's speculation, but it's unlikely you'll be playing with Summon Sorcerers at the 200th YCS. Now, I think she'll be one of the stars of the show, and around then she'll go off, but there's a huge quantity on the market right now. Insane, because so many people bought their jump subscriptions just for Link Prebo because they saw it as guaranteed profit with the other jump promos, and this one's going to be a big one as well. So we're likely going to see like an initial fall off because there's going to be basically no events after our WCQ here in the US until after Worlds, meaning a huge quantity of cards with nobody playing on market. It's likely to trickle down a little bit, or it could just continue to go up like Shockmaster once did. We really can't tell until it happens, but it's likely the quantity versus the demand at that point will help it cool off a little bit. The 200, we're heating up into a competitive season like never before in the winter, and that's probably going to really drive this up in the USA, and that's the target audience for this. That's who can play it. See Link Rebo versus WCQ. Link Rebo has a reprint announced in the structure deck after the WCQ, but everybody needs it to get their invite/win events right now, and then afterwards they need to play this in the WCQ if they're playing a deck that uses it. Not every deck uses this yet. It's still commanding $43, one of its highest price points ever, and that's just the name of the game. I even warned you guys about that. I'm like, people are gonna want this for the WCQ. Sky Striker buyouts already. Widow Anchor moving on up. This could be natural, but there's just so low quantity. I don't know how I feel about this, like if it was natural or not. But you see 22 engages versus 6 Widow Anchors on market. Yes, this is nothing new, by the way. Engage is up there, and that's mainly because it's around 5 per case. It's ratio on the major vendors that have opened it have proven to be around 5 per case overall. But you have a realistic opportunity to pull 4 to 7 per case. And of course, there's really out there exceptions to the rule, people pulling 3 of these in a single box and like, whoa, look what I did. But overall, it seems like it's shorted, and vendors want the cards typically to stay under $99.99 because if they go to a YCS, they cannot sell them for over that. And not being able to deal with the biggest card on the floor, not being able to do that is such a pain for a vendor at a YCS. But a lot of these guys aren't vendors for YCSs, so you could definitely see this price possibly increase, but we're about to hit that off season, like I said, so it should cool off besides people who need it for the WCQ. Now, Widow Anchor, not everybody plays it. I believe it's Hornet along with Engage that is kind of the engine some people play in the decks that are playing a light Sky Striker engine, but for the pure deck, Widow Anchor is amazing. This is your deck that makes things like Fossil Dyna not a problem, and that's really, really big. And we actually see it over here on eBay similarly. The cheapest are from Australia. Oh no, we actually have 2 new listings, my bad. I just refreshed tabs. We have 2 for 40, and then it actually just goes up from there. Really low quantity on market. It was kind of the overlooked one, more so because everyone was focused on Engage. It's going up. Now let's talk about the backwoods cousin, Beat Bladesman for hire. What are you doing? Why are you trying to be $16? I get you're shorted, you're also 5 per case, but what are you doing, Beat? You're not supposed to be around here like that. You're not supposed to be balling out. And it's even more on eBay. Let me just double check. Yeah, 8 listings. I'm not crazy. This guy took a snapshot. Yo, you can get a snapshot on eBay. Yo, this is actually crazy. I get he's one of the best cards in the deck. He's the searcher. He's the only consistency added. But this deck just has infinite consistency problems. It's kind of like a bad Yosenju's that leaves cards on board that do negates that don't even destroy. I've been testing with it and its consistency issues with the negates not even being removable. It's just so rough for it. And then afterburners creeping up a little, but come on, man. Y'all going crazy for hire? There's no other reason than this is a new deck and people wanted to try it out, or somebody tried to take advantage of the market knowing it was shorted. This price will be going back down 1,000,000%. It sold Two Tails of Noble Knight, now stabilizing at 20? It's actually crazy. It's so good in Gokis. It's just undeniable. The resource game with Phoenix Blade is so good as well for the Nightmares. And the Nightmare combos with this ult are so good. It's actually a low of 22 USA over here. So we have quantities back over here, and you see how many of the lower listings are actually foreign. Well, you would take your time getting them back in. But if you can wait, hey, 16, maybe you'll get it in by the WCQ. I would assume so. Before you fly out, since it starts like June 29th, I would hope you would get something from Canada within 2 weeks, or you should get your money back, I would hope. But yeah, this card has proved itself again and again. It's amazing. It's one of the things that will turbo off into Summon Sorceress as well. Do keep in mind it's a Megaton candidate being as Expo, but nothing from Brains Pack has been announced for the Megatons either. Hand traps are going up. Despite a Legendary Collection Kaiba reprint coming, perhaps it won't be in time for the WCQ. If you're not playing in the WCQ, hold off on your hand traps. Maybe try to buy some unlimited Legendary Collection Kaiba boxes when they come out in an area near you to try to hunt it. And I know a lot of you guys actually have nightmares from like trying to hunt the hand traps, unless you're DZ, trying to hunt them in your Kaiba's collections, but man, the price of Ash, the price of Droll, it's all just going up right now. Droll's very, very good against Gokis, which we were just mentioning. You can just drop it immediately on the Isolde. You can actually drop it on the Goki that's helping Isolde. Like, there's so many things you can drop Droll on, and it's pretty darn good against those decks and stops you from getting, like, Nightmare Lock. Yeah, Droll is going to be one of the main hand traps of this format. And it is so good, but we see cheaper rares still, but the Ultra is continuing to push its way on up, and you want to be aware of that. But it's just hand traps in general. I think we have Ghost Reaper also, the Shiv version. First Ed is now sitting at around 17, I believe. Yeah, 1748 cheapest right here. And then we come on over to eBay. We got Shiv first from Canada, 13. Again, you could hope to get it in. And then 20. So TCG player actually winning on some of these fallout prices from immediate buyouts. Or maybe they just didn't sell because they were already higher. But yeah, it's not looking pretty for cards you might want for the WCQ overall. There's still cheaper versions of Ghost Reaper over, you got the new Ultra out of Legendary Collection Kaiba, etc. But the max rarity pushing forward means the rest of them will probably soon follow. Just something to note, Effect Veiler is not bad, even with your 3 Infinite Impermanence, / Transients, I think it's Impermanence. You got Effect Veiler too. Some people are choosing to run 3 Impermanence and 3 Effect Veiler, so it is something to consider in your testing on Dueling Book, but prices on Veilers have been up around the board. So there's still the common versions, which are relatively budget, but the quantities on all of them are relatively low. You see almost every quantity is below 30 different sellers, so you might want to go sooner than later. Now, just talking about buyouts that happen and showing the fallout, I told you guys Waking the Dragon would go back down as a card itself. It's a short print. It's something you want to hold on to long term, though. It's not getting reprinted in the Megaton, so it's like this current Megaton, so you're going to have a while with it. It's definitely going to help against the Sky Strikers overall, and it's a decent card to place in your back row. They can't just not start popping off your back rows, and I think that's pretty awesome. So, like, they've got to make more considerations. They've got to consider how long you've had your sets. Better players will play around this a little better, but they will also get more use, because if you're a better player and your opponent's been respecting your plays up till then, they'll try to respect your back row most likely too. So the more respected a player, or if you have a name, the better Waking Dragon is for you. But even though it's a short print, there's just always going to be a high quantity of new cards on the market. The special edition will come out, giving even more of them. This was good to pull out of bulk. Like I said, if it's on a table, don't leave it on a table. Pull it out of your bulk, keep it, and it probably will go up as a common over time as a short print. It's an amazing card, but immediately there's always going to be a flood of quantities on the market like that. Back to the Front's actually a card that's a candidate in the Megatins because there's always a ton of rares and commons, I feel like. But you do want to be aware it's at like $2, so if it's just sitting in your bulk right now, or in like some of your rogue decks, you might want to consider, especially if you're buying Megatins, letting this go. But again, that's speculation because we don't know what's in the Megatin. So if this was skipped, oops, it could go up, but at the same time, it's so likely to be in the Megatins, in my opinion. How would they skip this card? It is Konami, though. But it's actually just low quantities over here on eBay in general. But you see it starts at 2 and quickly goes up. So there aren't the most back to the fronts, but it's just something to note that, hey, this is a pretty big price for a rare that you might just have sitting around because it was good and you kept it out of bulk. Omega is the cheapest it's been on market for good reasons. It keeps falling because a lot of people are walking away from Pendulum Magicians and selling their Pen Magician decks. You might want to take advantage and trade for it around now and snipe off some of these cheaper listings. It's still an amazing card. It's still going to find its way into formats and metas, but do keep an eye on it. It might continue to even out around 7 and you can get multiples, not just the one listing. But it's definitely one of your best chances to buy Omega, in my opinion. Speaking of Battles of Legend, do keep in mind we might have some insane reprints this year, but we haven't heard many or any of our reprints unless, what was it, Hope Harbinger might be a candidate because it was bolded in the article, but it's not confirmed. The reprints I'm hoping are still insane in this year's Battles of Legend. And finally, another ranked 8th has been going up, creeping up, is Cypher Dragon, which on both versions is around the $9 mark. Just spend the 50 cents extra if these do sell out and get yourself the secret rare. The secret rare will probably hold a little better value than the super from Dimensional Guardians, best duels pack ever. But seriously, you might want to pick this up now with a new Blue Eye set coming out. But this 750 one is also near mint, so there's 2 before it's like 10 on eBay. It does say near mint in the description, so even though it has described as used, it looks pretty darn good. So there's only a couple, literally only 2 between both before it goes up even further. Actually, yeah, there's just the one at 750. My bad. But you know, you should be getting this if you're considering the Blue Eyes Duels pack and you think it's actually going to bring something. The next Legendary Duels with Kaiba, if you think it's going to bring something really good to Blue Eyes, or if you just think Blue Eyes is good in general, you might want to go ahead and get that now rather than later. It's crept up from 5 and just keeps going up over time. Thanks for watching today's Market Watch. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up if you do. By the way, me showing FTKs is not promoting FTKs, just a note on the last video. It's me showing you guys an FTK exists so you can educate yourself and know where to stop it. Oh, you're saying I should Ghost Reaper the Firewall so I don't get looped. Oh, you're saying save my Ogre or Ash for this. That's what I'm trying to teach you. That's why there's not like a deck profile attached to the FTK I showed off. Just the FTK itself from Tyler. And a huge shout out to Tyler for showing off that FTK and educating you guys on it. Showing off an FTK doesn't mean promoting it. Would you rather go into a room not knowing it exists and then face up against it and try to Ultra Instinct decide what to drop something on? Or should you decide, hey, I know how to counter this. I have natural counters already because I'm playing cherries for other decks and I got a Firewall in my deck. Yeah, maybe you wanted to do that, in my opinion. Maybe you would like to learn about that before a WCQ or National.